In this video, we're going to create our lander flying around the planet with a Coke can in its hand. You're welcome to use the object you created in the game room we did before. We'll start by opening up Maya with our lander file in it. We'll also need our textures that we applied to the planet. I've opened up the lander file where we left off on Thursday. You can see we've got the propeller basically rotating. We're going to introduce the Mars planet into this project window, so I'll hold down my space bar, I'll go to Create, Polygon Primitive, Sphere, and I'll drag the sphere for the planet. And after looking at the finished process, you can see that we'll need a pretty good sized version of this for the lander to fly around. I'll go ahead and assign a new material, Arnold AI Standard Surface. I'll import the texture that I had for the previous tutorials, as well as the bump map. Opening up geometry, I'll click on the bump map tab and introduce that file as well. We'll begin by rotating the planet Mars. Selecting the sphere, I'll delete the history, freeze the transforms. Make sure that you've clicked on the button in the lower right-hand corner to the left of the orange guy with the gear over his shoulder. Starting at frame number 1, I'll go to the channel box, right-click on Rotate Y, key selected. I'll put my playback head at 200. I'll select the 0 and make it 360. So if I was to drag through my timeline, or click on the VCR controls with this little triangle, it'll play it for me. I can click on that little red box now to stop it. Now I'm going to go to my top view. In the top view, we want to change the orientation and the pivot point of the lander. So I'm going to click part of the lander. I'll hit the up arrow until I see the lander's name I gave it in the channel box. I'll hit W on the keyboard. I'll center my pivot, and then if I have to relocate it, I'll hold down D on the keyboard and I'll put it in the middle of my lander. I'll hit E on the keyboard and I'm going to rotate it so it's kind of sideways here. Now I want it to rotate around the planet. And the easiest way now is, now that I have it located and rotated the way I want, again I'll hold down D and I'm going to move the pivot into the center of where the planet is located. If I were to hit E on the keyboard now and just rotate it on the y-axis, I'm already getting what I want. I'll return to my perspective view. Now I can do one of two things. I can scale this a little smaller and bring it closer to the planet that way, or probably easier just to scale the planet up. I want to scale between the two so that the lander is smaller. Now we need to decide on the angle. So what I'll do is I'll return to my top view. I'll get my rotation tool, and with the lander selected, I'll tuck it behind the planet a little bit. And at frame 1, I will right click and choose key selected. I'll go to frame 200, and then I'll manually rotate it around to the other side, about 180 degrees. No need to go all the way around because the shot is very, very brief. It's basically a quarter of the rotation here. In my perspective view, I'll start to play this to see what I have so far. So looking for something like this. Now the next thing I need to do is import the can and parent it to the claw or the arm of the lander. I'll select the planet and I'll put it on its own layer. Now I'll just hide it. I'm going to go to File Import and I'm going to import my Coke can. I'll hit F on the keyboard and I'll make sure my texture is linked. Now I'm going to put the Coke can in the hand of the lander. Going to my top view, I'll zoom in on both elements. I'll select the Coke can, hitting W, holding down V on the keyboard, I'll snap it into the general area. I'll go to my perspective view now, hitting F on the keyboard to zoom in on the selected can. I'll start to scale it and position it. And if I select the Coke can first and shift select the claw and hit P to parent, it will now follow along with the lander. I've put the planet back on, and I'm going to hit 4 on the keyboard so that I can kind of drag through here and start to position this the way I would like it to work. And I've roughed it in so it kind of passes by, coming from the right-hand side and going off the screen on the left. I'm going to save that because now we have to introduce a light before we go any further. I'll go to my orthographic views. In my top view, I'll hit A on the keyboard. Holding down the space bar, I'll choose Create Lights. spotlight. I'll hit T on the keyboard and I'll drag the cone out past the ship and the planet, placing the target in the middle of the planet. I'll go to my perspective view. I'll go to the attributes for the light, and I'll make the intensity maybe 2 to begin with, making the cone angle, maybe about 150, and I'll make the penumbra angle 10. We'll go to lighting and choose use all light. So you can see now it's starting to light up our scene. I'm starting to tighten up the shot. We're going to want something like this. I'll return to my top view, and with my light, I'll start to raise it up using all the orthographic views. And now I'll go back to my perspective view. I want to make sure I've got the ship lit pretty well. Before we go any further with this, we want to put a plane for the background in which we will make it green so we can key it out in After Effects. I'll go to my front view. I'll go to Create Polygon Primitives, and this was a plane just like we've been using. I'll drag the plane. Zooming back, I'll scale it pretty large. I'll go to my perspective view, and I'll move it back further from the planet and the lander. With it selected, I'll right-click and choose Assign New Material. Arnold, AI Standard Surface, and make it a default green. Now we can go to the perspective view and we can start to tighten this up. We'll be able to generate the play blast. I'll go ahead and put my playback head at the beginning of the timeline and play the movie to see what I have so far. Now, while Maya is animating, we can also manipulate the viewport to fix the view the way we want it. I'm rotating the view so I don't see the ship right away. Now that I have what I want, I'm ready to export the movie file that we will edit in After Effects. Before we go to Play Blast, we have to turn off the name of the camera, the perspective view at the bottom. Maybe the view cube is on, the lights, and the grid. I'll start with the grid. In the viewport, at the top of the viewport itself, you'll see a grid shape with a blue background under the word panels. I'll click on it, and now the grid is gone. I'll now go to Show Viewport, and in the viewport I'm going to turn off the light icon. Now I'm going to go to Display, Heads Up Display, and I'll take off the View Cube, and I'll go to Display, Heads Up Display, and I'll turn off the camera name. Now I'm ready to go into Play Blast. Going to Windows, Play Blast Attributes, frame range is 1 through 200, quality is 100%, and scale is 1. And I'll click on Apply. I'll save the file and direct it to the folder with the rest of the project content. And next we'll go into After Effects.